Yeah, Anthony Batchelder, Pima County Finance and Risk Management Department, Budget Division.
Yeah, thank you again joining. And Dylan.
Dylan Perry, Town of Sahuarita.
Thank you. And Elisa.
Good morning, Elisa Hamblin from the City of Tucson Planning and Development Services.
Yeah, thank you for joining. And Mirella.
Good morning, Mirella Hromadka, Regional Wastewater Planning Unit.
Great, yeah, thank you. And Pamela.
Good morning, I'm Planning Analyst for TUSD.
Thank you. And Tara.
Hi, Salomon from the State Demographer's Office.
Yeah, thank you for joining. And Tracy.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Gutheim. I'm the Operations Manager for Pima County Development Services.
Yeah, thank you for joining. And Steve.
Steve Cheslock, Planning Manager, Town of Marana.
Thank you, Steve.
Sure.
And is there any other missing for our jurisdiction partners? Oh, attendees. And hey, Dean, thank you for joining. Would you want to join as a panel? You can click and you can promote. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think just setting up maybe and let me know if you have any just issue and joining as a panelist. So. Okay, then just the pack and Caroline.
Yep, it's Caroline from a data science team, mainly doing the population stuff.
Okay, great. Thank you, Caroline. Eric?
Hi, Eric Kramer, Senior Land Use Data Scientist at PAG.
Thank you, Eric. And Hannah?
Hi, good morning. Hannah Oden, I'm Planning Coordinator at PAG.
Thank you, Hannah. And James?
James Sakishi, Transportation Data Science Coordinator.
Thank you, James. And Jeanette?
Good morning, Hanse. This is Jeanette Diren, Transportation Planning Director here at PAG.
Thank you. Did I call like Jim? I'm sorry, just if I missed.
Well, we kind of talked. Jim Chen from the Arizona Office of Economic Opportunity.
Oh, thank you, Jim. And looks like it's Melina is here as well.
Good morning, Melanie Sams, Principal Planner with the Town of Laurel Valley.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you. And Yumi?
Good morning, Yunmi Zhang, Transportation Data Science Coordinator, PAC.
Okay, great. Thank you. So looks like it's just that we have all. And so next agenda item. So in kind form, regional planning efforts are enhanced by recording time donated by attendees, volunteers, and the participants. PAC collects data on the time dedicated to meetings and activities to apply for use as matching funds for grants and federal dollars. If you are paid with federal dollars, please let us know now. Time spent in preparation for this meeting will be estimated by PAC staff who are knowledgeable of the agenda and the meeting materials. At the conclusion of this meeting, the session report will automatically calculate your time spent in this meeting. Time spent working on PAC RTA initiatives, programs, and special projects may also be eligible for consideration for matching funds. And next. So 2055 Alma Development Update, Eric is going to just present. Eric, you're ready?
Yeah, I just, I'm ready, just I'll share my screen.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, welcome. I'm going to talk about, talk about our input data update for the RMAP. going over the summary of what we've done so far. We'll also go into our known projects, wrapping that up and comparing it with our forecasts of employment and housing, and then talk about the density table update as well as next steps. So as you know, we've been working on updating our input data for the land use model, and the month of March and a bit of April, we've been working with the jurisdictions to coordinate and update our data on known projects. Known projects, if you remember, are the development projects in the near term that will have first priority in the allocation of the land use model before the model gets to its best guess for allocating the forecasts. We will take the known projects that we have information on and distribute those or allocate those down to the parcel level. So we've been meeting with the jurisdictions. We distributed our known projects, our draft of that, and as well as the draft of the density table for their inputs. We met with them one-on-one meetings, and we also got feedback on the known projects and additional additions that they asked for, or known projects that they asked to be removed for various reasons. So we've adjusted those. We've come to kind of the conclusion on that. We've also made adjustments to the density table based on feedback as well. So going into the known projects, I'm going to get into a little bit of some of the statistics here. Now we've used the employment forecast developed by the Economic and Business Research Center at the University of Arizona. We've created based on our PAG employment database 2023, we've sort of used the EBRC's forecast to help project that to 2055. And our known projects, we've relied on news stories and also jurisdiction input to get that information. Some cases we only have square footage. In those cases, we will use in-house statistics on the square foot required for employee for various sectors of the growth model. In others, we also use sort of existing employment from our database as well. So here up top is the regional employment forecast, and down here are the known projects. Again, we expect to see the growth in known projects to concentrate in the first 10 to 15 years. And here you see most of it's concentrated in the service sector, as well as retail. Now, if we look at the cumulative growth of the employment forecast compared to the known projects, we see that by 2035, our known projects employment growth is reached 55% of its total, so 24,000 jobs by 2035, and 52% versus 52% of the regional forecast by 2040. So we're growing a little quicker than the forecast in this case. I've noticed there are some issues, timing or phasing of our known projects. So, for example, 2025, we see a significant growth, whereas in the regional forecast, that growth happens by 2030. So we may want to revisit or think about those projects. But that's, not too serious, but we don't want to exhaust our regional forecast. We may have to shift some of those projects to 2030 just to even it out. Third thing is we see that there's some sectors seem to be overrepresented in known projects like retail. For example, retail versus the retail forecast, and wholesale. Again, 20 as opposed to 600. But there are others that are underrepresented, such as fire, finance, insurance, real estate, and service. Again, it may not be too serious. The model can allocate the growth here if we don't have known projects, but significantly, in the first couple iterations of the model, there's quite a difference here. So I don't know. It may be something that's very difficult to know ahead of hand, as far as predicting or knowing those known projects.
Just in case, and Eric,
yeah,
and that's just a known project, and there are a lot of just a small business together, and
sure.
Which may not be kind of represented as a known project. So even though just the service sector is underrepresented, but all those and the other and just the portions and will be kind of just grow and as expected, just in case.
Yes. So, and as we get out in the forecast, we see between 2035 and 2045, mostly Tucson and Pima County are contributing known projects. And some of those may be a little speculative. From last time we had growth in the Sonoran corridor. Again, nothing really specific there, but I know that folks are expecting to see growth in the aerospace sector there and industrial, and things related to the airport. But we may want to have some additional review from Tucson, Pima County in those areas, just to make sure that's what they're expecting. And but overall, we see that known projects are 44% of the total employment forecast. So 43,500 versus 99,000 for the employment forecast. So, and 69% of that is for the service sector. I'm going to move on to housing. So housing, we took the AOEO sub-county population projection. So this population, we need to put that in housing unit terms for our model. So what we did was convert the population to housing unit versus using the housing unit method. So we looked at the 2020 census, and we got housing units, household population, and group quarters population from that. And then at the place level or jurisdiction level, we applied an occupancy rate and the persons per household to forecast our household population. Then we converted that household population to housing units using the occupancy ratio and persons per household. So we see here that, again, it's most of the growth in our known projects are in the first 10 years, and we reach about 58% of total growth by 2040 versus 58%, 58% of the total forecast growth by 2040 up here, and 54% versus 54% of known projects by 2030. And all of our known projects represent 51% of the total forecast. And also in our jurisdictions of Marana, Sarita, and Oro Valley, that's where our known projects have the highest percent share of the regional forecast. So Tucson is 37%, and the balance of Pima County, or unincorporated Pima County, has 41%. Moving on to the density table, our density table will be used for estimating capacity and residual capacity and estimation in the model allocation. It will also be, we've distributed to our PAG jurisdictional partners for review. And most jurisdictions didn't have any changes or comments. But what we can also later modify this table pending the discussion on the model outputs. So if we don't like what we're seeing in the model, we can also update these. But in general, there were no major amendments to it. So next steps. So we're going to go over and address some of those phasing issues of known projects to better align it with the forecast. We're working on the redevelopment module currently, and we will do some land use model testing. Next, in this quarter, we will be doing some input updates to the activity-based model and testing of the integration of the land use and the activity-based model. And we'll have update of that the next PopTech meeting on June 26th. And in the third quarter, we'll be testing that model, combined models, and have another meeting on August 28th, tentatively. And we'll also have the draft outputs from those from that model run, or those model runs. And that's it. Any questions?
Do you have any questions about the input data update and of the land use model? Nope. Okay, that's great. And moving on to just the next item. Okay, and the activity-based model exploratory tool development update. So let's move on. Can I have the privilege to move the file? Oh, would you mind just having that and the cursor? I can move on. I don't see any. Well, maybe if it's not doable right now, I can ask. And yeah. So next. Okay, yeah. So I think just this might be a kind of just the first time, and talking about just the activity-based model, and so maybe and why we actually just having this in the presentations and at the PopTech meeting. So the activity-based model was developed, and but we add a kind of just the add-on and components, and would like to just have an exploratory tool development especially for like a CRP and the carbon reduction program. So, and we've been discussing about this carbon reduction program funded project and with the committee members. And so including just the TPC and I'm a working group and such things. So we'd like to kind of just address the impact and as well as like getting some feedbacks and of this and the effort. So want to just discuss about first in the PAG activity-based model in the development and which was actually initiated in back in 2008. And it spent like a decade in the development of the activity-based model, which is a mega region. So including just the Phoenix and the metro area and the Tucson metro and they combined it together. So the MAC, Municipal Association of Governments and the Female Association of Governments, and they worked together and finally developed in the mega region and the activity-based model back in 2018. So after that, actually just the MAG is their expectation, their interest is a little different and as well as just the PAC. And we have some different kind of just expectation and outcomes and the use of the activity-based model. So we added additional kind of effort in the regional and the PAC activity-based model, but this model is still kind of a shareable. And as a mega region, just the core and the module is actually just the same, and we can share. We can just run and if needed, but we actually decided and moving on and our own kind of just a dedicated regional model. And after then, and it was developed back in 2019, then COVID-19 and happened. So for that, and the pandemic actually changed and everything. And so we now actually have more and the telework and the meetings like this, the Zoom meetings. And then like his telework percentage is something like a 20% and either 1 through just 5 days and the participation. So we'd like to kind of address that. And so we continued our just development, including like a telework and additionally just the freight and the airport module improvement. So hold this activity-based model development, including those and the further development. And we had 2 and peer reviews and including national and the professionals and the practitioners. And then we are now actually just testing and hoping to just use this and activity-based model for our long-range transportation plan, RMAP 2055. So here is the something like simplified in the version of the activity-based model. And first step is population synthesis, and it's actually replicate and hold just more than like a little more than 1 million population in household level. And then internally, just the model apply just the long-term work and school location choice model, as well as a midterm transportation mode choice model. After those in the choice model done, and would apply in the daily activity choice model and the form and the activity tours and trips. So it's actually now and doable to just track all just temporally and spatially and for the activities, activity locations and the time all just aligned together. And definitely just all just the trips and the transportation used and will be and assigned to our just the roadway network. And if needed and need to go in a recursive way and the iterative way to assign just the model and change the travel time and reassign all those activity and tours and trips and again assign until just it converges. So and let's talk about in the PAC activity-based model exploratory tool development. And we've been using the travel demand model and including like a previous and currently we utilize it and for our tip and process trip-based model. We have a relatively like a simple in the scenario. We don't consider and much more just uncertainty in future. But as you know, and we have just a different expectation in the electric vehicle, how many will be autonomous vehicle we've been discussing, and we are talking about the vehicle-to-vehicle communication, vehicle-to-X or vehicle-to-I infrastructure, but we don't know in future what percentage it would be, and then just the impact might be just different as well. And plus just the different transportation mode and the Lyft to Uber, and plus just the micromobility, we don't know exactly. And plus just all those in the transportation land use policy could be changed here in denser development or just as is in the like a current trend line, and we can apply that. So plus just our current project could be just adjusted and often, and we can decide in the group of project and to evaluate it. And so all combined together is kind of just complicated, and the model we just use and certain kind of just to develop the scenarios, but it's kind of just a little bit hard to just apply all those like interrelationship and between those different just factors, future uncertainty and the transportation land use policy and the transportation project. So we hope to improve transportation policy decision-making for uncertain transportation system and environment, and also establish a better understanding of a fine resolution travel behavior on uncertain transportation conditions, its impact on the regional transportation system and air quality. So air quality is one of the important factor. So because of it, this is the part of the CRP carbon reduction program funded projects. So we want to just highlight and as a useful tool, not only for talking about not only just talking about in the transportation system, the congestion and the project impact, and as well as just about also in the air quality. So, and we actually went through in the literature review and existing approaches to uncertainty analysis, and also reviewed some softwares used to facilitate the implementation of uncertain analysis. And here's the one, like just simplified in the design, and this is the model, and currently we are working on, and based on the FHWA initiative, and in terms of exploratory tool development. So it's going to just design reasonable distribution of possible values of intended scenarios, identify data visualization approach for representing results clearly, identify output performance measures to be assessed. So simply in for EV, and the adoption rate might be just different in future in 2055. And the 30%, 50%, we don't know exactly. So saying that just we have a lever, and which is low, and maybe just saying that 20% or just 10% more likely, and the high number like 50%. So we can choose it, and with different kind of just a combination. So we want to know about, I guess, the impact with other factors, and when we just choose in the low and EV adoption rate, and then just the impact of just the air quality, and the high is the EV and the adoption rate, and the plus with other and factors, for example, like just a transit-oriented development, or just a more bike and the active mode and participation, and something like that. So all together, and will be analyzed and together. So this is a sort of like a simple task and a simple visualization, and showing the task of just the whole process. And also the automation is one of the important and the components of this model development, because of to have those in all outputs of the dependency between different factors, and the policy factors, and the project factors, and the uncertainty factors. And to do that, we need to actually run the model, our model, and the PAG activity-based model, and as well as the MOVES model, and the EPA, and MOVES model for our just the regional and the air quality conformity. So PAG ABM typically takes around 6 hours, and the MOVES model takes around 12 hours. So combined together is 18 hours. But we need to just run dozens or possibly hundreds of scenarios for uncertainty analysis. So it's actually just a resource intensive and process. So if we do just manually, it's going to take forever. So we'd like to kind of just automate this process in the development automation process between activity-based model moves and the proposed exploratory tool, and to minimize time-consuming manual data process. So hoping to get the nice outputs and all through this in the automation process. And we've been one of the caveats so far in the current activity-based model is missing those in the vehicle fleet mix. So we have to just add and EV and in our just the model, and more likely just ICE and internal combustion engines we assumed, but we can actually just use in the sort of like a simplified in the version to just evaluate the EV adoption rate and applying just the EV share of the total vehicle population. We also discussed some like aggregate and adjustment factor to just estimate in the VMT per in the electric vehicle and ICE internal combustion engines vehicle. And so after in the all just the model, the test, we also need to just do in the calibration for those in the test sensitivity in the scenarios. And also we need to just prepare, because of this is not the easy task, and all just the inputs of 100 in the scenarios need to prepare and all those together, and also configure and the ABM and also just to run the whole just the scenarios. And applying just the meta model. Meta model is actually exploratory tool, and to estimate the key outputs and present the results in the data visualization approach and identified. So this is kind of just the process, and also including the peer review and documentation. So likely just that we worked with other national and the professionals and the practitioners. We also like to just rely on their opinions and their review, and the expert peer review and the panel will just evaluate the approach and the analysis. And we're going to present in the approach findings, and we're going to just obtain their feedback and from the panel and the recommendations and the next steps. Also, this documentation, the report will be prepared and together with all just the software is developed and together. And overall, just the project timeline is started January 2024 and the 60-month project, and expecting to just sometime next year. So we hope to just discuss of these outcomes and at the next 2025 summertime in the PopTech meeting. So other committees and we've been involving here in the RMAT working group and the TPC as well. So here's the timeline and based on those tasks. So you can find it in the schedule. So I wonder if you have any questions about this in the update, any questions, activity-based model, or how we're going to use that, or just any questions about the land use model, and feel free to ask. Okay, no question? Or just send me and any emails, and if you are interested in any kind of just questions. So either in the Eric and for land use model and for activity-based model, either Shao or just me. Okay, yeah, thank you. And this is the item number 4. If you don't have any questions, let's just move on. So simply all these are kind of prepared, and if you don't have any questions, we will, as mentioned, they will reach out to you for those land use model and outcomes and the input data update, and as well. Jim, you have a question?
Yeah, before we adjourn, I don't have a question for Eric for the previous presentation.
Sure.
Okay. So you presented the known project for housing unit. Can you elaborate on what counts as a known project, specifically for housing units? Thank you.
Known projects for housing units. Okay, so we have things that have been permitted, things that are in the pipeline. In general, we're again, most of it, I believe, would be things that have already been submitted, not necessarily in construction yet, but have gone through the process and have been approved. So there's a little bit of uncertainty there, but it's not simply. But in the case, in some cases, it's also, for example, for the town of Marana. Again, that's a little more. In some cases, they have specific plans and they have a number of housing units for those and expectations. So it may not be the same level of certainty in that case. But in other cases, it's more of approved projects.
Okay, so it's different levels of certainty.
Yeah.
Yeah, so something like just going to be happened and 85% or above, and that's but still there are a chance and uncertainty, but we actually rely on and the jurisdictional partners and their plan and the process. So we more likely just take and for our just a long range transportation plan, so which is a long term like up to 2055. So instead of like using and independently and just our model, because of probably it's a kind of a stochastic process. We don't want to kind of just miss and any kind of just effort in the jurisdiction is currently working on and their plans. So we'd like to kind of incorporate those in the first, and then just the left portion, we want to apply our just the stochastic process and applying all those and the development based on the model and the evaluation. So I think MAG is also doing the similar in the approach, as I know.
Right, and also in the case of Marana, these would be platted subdivisions as well. So again, in the process of being built out, and they have expectations about those. But again, it is a little more speculative in that kind of scenario.
Okay, so you don't require, at least some dirt have been moved. For some of the projects, there is no disturbance of the earth, so to speak, as of now. That could also be counted as known projects, as long as there are some plans on it.
Yes, I believe so. That could be. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. And any other questions? Okay, yeah, then great. And 10:41, and we adjourn in today's meeting in the April 24th PopTech meeting. Yeah, thank you all. I hope you have just a great rest of the day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.